Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in. Today we are talking about the latest information on the second stimulus check, here on Stimulus Check Updates. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Most Americans given a payment under the first round of stimulus checks to help hard-hit families through the coronavirus pandemic have now received their money, and attention is very much focused on whether the White House and Congress can reach a deal on a new relief package that would provide for a second round of much-needed stimulus checks. More stimulus money is seen as vitally important by both Democrats and Republicans as COVID-19 continues to wreak havoc on both people and the economy, and in the latest round of negotiations the two sides seem to be edging closer to a deal, with a $1.8 trillion pitch from the White House and a $2.2 trillion reworked HEROES Act. That said, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has announced that a deal on a new coronavirus relief bill before U.S. elections looks uncertain. But if a deal can be reached, how much could people expect to receive from their second stimulus check? It does look like there could be good news for some people, depending on their family situations. It is important to note that pretty much all the proposals that could actually make it into legislation for a second round of stimulus payments would maintain the base stimulus check of $1,200 for individuals and $2,400 for married couples at the same amount. The limits for claiming the first stimulus check, set out in the CARES Act that President Trump signed into law back in March, were as follows: individual filers earning under $75,000 received the full amount of $1,200, tapering up to $99,000, above which no payment was due. For married couples, those limits were earnings of under $150,000 to get the full $2,400 payment, tapering off to $198,000. Head of households got the full $1,200 with earnings under $112,500, tapering to zero at $146,500. Earnings for these purposes is what the IRS calls adjusted gross income, which is all your earnings in the year less a number of allowable deductions. Let's talk about how to get your money quickly if there is a second stimulus check. Registering for direct deposit to your bank account is the fastest way to get your money. The IRS has a system in place to electronically transfer the funds into your checking account, if you already provided those details and registered for direct deposit for your first check or as part of filing your IRS tax return. If you don't have direct deposit, a physical check is the most likely way that you'll receive a stimulus check. The IRS will mail your check to your last known address, so if you've moved recently, you'll need to file a change of address with the U.S. Postal Service. You can also keep an eye on the mail. Make sure you don't miss a check mailed to you, and also be aware some 4 million people received a prepaid economic impact payment card in the mail for the first stimulus payment. Don't throw it away by mistake. The provision for dependents could increase stimulus checks. One of the major impacts on how much people get from a second stimulus check compared to the first are the proposals for dependents. Under the first round, there was a payment of $500 for each dependent under the age of 17, with no limit on the number of dependents the taxpayer claimed on their return. That excluded older offspring, despite the fact that many remain dependent on their parents for a significant time, a move that was highly criticized. Trump plans to pay for dependents to $1,000 under the new proposals. The amount available for dependents could rise, depending on each family's circumstances. The current $1.8 trillion stimulus package proposed by the White House includes the same age restriction on dependents, but ups the payment to $1,000 per dependent, again with no limit on the number. Plans to remove age limitations are also set in place against Trump's plan as the latest proposal from the Democrats, their newly revised HEROES Act, which went through the House on the 1st of October and calls for $2.2 trillion of funding, well down on the original amount of over $3 trillion. This revised bill calls for the same $500 payment for dependents as in the first round of stimulus checks, but ups the age limitation to allow full-time students under 24 and adult dependents to qualify. Again, there would be no limitation on the number of dependents who could be claimed for. I'd like you to note that the original plan from the Democrats was for $1,200 payments for each dependent up to a maximum of 3, but that has been ditched. So for families with dependents aged 17 to 24, the better proposal will likely be that from the Democrats, while those with younger children will be rooting for the White House's plan. What's clear right now though is that it is looking increasingly unlikely we will get anything signed and sealed before the election on the 3rd of November. Here are the possible eligibility quotas for the second stimulus check. For individuals are required to have gross income of less than $99,000. Head of household must have a gross income of less than $146,500. Married couple filing jointly should have a joint gross income less than $198,000. Dependents of any age as defined by your tax filing. U.S. citizens living abroad are able to get a second check. Citizens of U.S. territories are likely, with payments handled by each territory's tax authority SSDI, and tax non-filers are likely, but with extra steps to file. Non-citizens who pay taxes was proposed in HEROES Act, but unlikely to pass in Senate. Incarcerated people might be possible. IRS argued that no under CARES, which is currently before the courts, with initial victory going to the inmates. People who owe child support are very unlikely. Was included in HEROES proposal, but excluded under the CARES Act. I hope everyone is staying safe out there and holding on the best you can. Thank you so much for watching this far, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on information just like this on your stimulus checks. Leave a comment and like down below, and I'll catch you next time on Stimulus Check Updates.